everyone, and welcome. So if you have ever felt completely lost trying to figure out where things are supposed to be in an English sentence, trust me, you are in the exactly right place. Today, we're going to unpack English prepositions of place and really build up your spatial vocabulary step by step. So let's dive right in.
Now, if you're coming from a language like Portuguese, you absolutely know this exact struggle. You've got these incredibly versatile, broad words like em, no, and na that seem to cover just about every possible location. But when you try to directly translate them into English, suddenly you're faced with this dizzying menu of options. You might find yourself guessing, flipping a coin, and wondering why on earth it's so hard to just say where a book is. Well, I really want to validate that struggle for you right now. It is not you, it's the language. To finally solve this translation trap, here's our roadmap for this explainer. 1. The preposition challenge. 2. The rule of in, on, at. 3. Exploring other positions. 4. The most common mistakes. And 5. How to practice at home.
Okay, section 1. The preposition challenge. Translating space.
Before we even look at the words themselves, we have to recognize a fundamental truth. Different languages use entirely different spatial logic. You can't just swap out a word. You actually have to swap the way you look at the physical world. Portuguese uses a pretty broad approach for locations, but English is highly specific. It demands that we look at the physical dimensions of a space before choosing a word. So you can't just say something is there. You have to declare exactly how it exists in that space. Is it enclosed? Is it flat? Or is it just a pinpoint? Moving on to section 2, the rule of in, on, and at, the dimensional scale.
The ultimate secret to English prepositions is treating them as a scale of dimension. We use in for a 3D enclosed space. Imagine a box, a room, or even a whole city or country with borders. Essentially, you are surrounded by it. Next, we use on when we have contact with a 2D flat surface. Think of a table, the floor, a wall, or a street. And finally, we use at for a specific 1D point or exact location. It has no real dimension. It's literally just a spot on a map, like an exact address, a corner, or a specific venue. So burn this into your memory. 3D is in, 2D is on, and 1D is at. All right, now it is time to put this logic to the test. I want you to literally pause this explainer right now. Take a look at this grammar worksheet from Perfect English Grammar. Try applying your new 3D, 2D, and 1D logic to the first few questions here. Where's the wine? Where's the dictionary? And where's Jennifer? Go ahead, pause and test yourself. I'll wait. Okay, let's check those answers. Notice how question 1 is in the bottle. Why? Because a bottle is a 3D container. The liquid is fully enclosed. Question 2 is on the bookshelf, because a shelf is a flat, 2D surface that the book rests upon. And question 3 is at work. Work isn't a surface, and in this specific context, we aren't talking about being trapped inside the physical walls of the building. We're talking about a specific 1D point of location or activity.
Let's keep going. Section 3. Exploring other positions. Going beyond the big 3.
There is a very subtle but vital difference between and among. We use between strictly when an item is in the middle of exactly two things. For example, a chair situated right between the table and the window. But if a subject is surrounded by several items, we use among. Imagine a small house nestled among the trees in a forest. It's that simple. Two things, between. Many things, among.
Next up, we have two phrases that mean the exact same thing. Side-by-side closeness, but they give off entirely different vibes. Next to is your casual, everyday choice. You sit next to your friend at lunch. Beside, however, is slightly more formal, maybe a bit more literary. It's the storybook alternative. You know, the brave knight fought beside his king, or the cat slept peacefully beside the warm fireplace.
Now let's quickly map out spaces where objects don't actually touch. Above means higher up, like a plane flying above a city, while below is simply lower down. If something is actively covered or hidden, like shoes tucked under the bed, we use under. As for positioning, a cat hiding in back of the sofa is behind it, but a bicycle parked ahead of the house is in front of it.
All right, on to section 4, most common mistakes. Let's avoid these traps. First up, transport. It is incredibly tempting to say you are in the bus because, well, you are physically inside a vehicle. But that is wrong. In English, for public transport vehicles like buses, trains, and planes, we use on. We say on the bus. And why? Because English actually treats these large vehicles as a floor or a platform, a 2D surface that you step onto and can walk around on.
Here's another super common error. You do not work on the hospital. Institutions, specific venues, or exact meeting points require our 1D point preposition. You work at the hospital. You meet at the train station. Think of it as a pinpoint on your GPS, not a surface you are resting on.
What about geography? Well, you can't say you live at France. Remember our 3D enclosed space rule? Countries, cities, and neighborhoods are large areas with defined boundaries. You are surrounded by those borders. Therefore, they always take in. You live in France, in London, or in the city center.
And finally, for the mistakes section, a picture does not hang in the wall. Unless someone took a hammer, smashed a giant hole, and literally stuffed the picture inside the drywall, it is resting against a flat, 2D surface. Therefore, the picture is on the wall. When in doubt, always rely on your dimensions.
Our final section, Section 5, How to Practice at Home. Let's master these skills. I want to leave you with 3 dynamic practice methods. First, start simple. Just narrate your immediate surroundings. Look around and say out loud, "The TV is on the table." Second, level up. Have a friend describe a scene, and you draw it based purely on their audio. It forces your brain to immediately process spatial words into mental images. And third, the Toy Story method. Invent a little tale where objects interact. Maybe the TV asks the table it sits on about the rug right under it. Just get creative with it.
So my final question to you today is this. Are you ready to look around your room right now and put this to the test? Take that 3D, 2D, and 1D logic, look at the items sitting around you, and start narrating your world. I really hope this explainer has completely shifted the way you look at English spatial vocabulary. Thank you so much for joining me. Keep practicing, and I will see you next time.